So welcome to the LFPH TAC meeting. For those joining by doing this on recording. As we like to start off every time, our wonderful antitrust policy. Everyone's got to know this. It's important. It's how we continue to operate successfully and legally. Also, our code of conduct, we take it very serious. If anyone has any issues, just email codeofconduct@lfph.io to submit reports, or you can reach out to Jenny or myself directly. The current members of our TAC Advisory Council, we have no issues to vote on for today, so we don't need to worry about a quorum being present. Jim, just for your understanding here, the members are member organizations, but we also have representatives from individual projects that are stage 3, like Herald. Adam is our representative for the Herald project, the stage 3 project. I think that's the only stage 3 we have currently. The rest are all from member organizations. All right, so our agenda for today, just a quick share note. We want to introduce our new executive director, Jim Sinclair, and then go through a quick round of project status updates and some of the initiative updates. Okay. If anybody has anything else to add to the agenda, just let me know in the chat, and we'll tack it on to the discussion period at the end. All right, chair notes reminder, end of the current TAC chair term is coming up in December. We'll have a call for nominations beginning of November with a vote soon after. I will not be running for the chair seat again, because Cloudflare is decided not to become a member of the foundation. So when my term ends here, I will be leaving the TAC. So we definitely encourage other tech members that to kind of consider it, think about it. I'm happy to have a conversation. If you have any questions about the role or responsibilities, that kind of thing, just ping me, and I'm happy to chat with you if you're deciding to run. Okay, so let's start with meeting Jim. Jim is taking over from Brian is the executive director. Brian's been tapped to go on to another initiative within the Linux Foundation. So I wanted to have some time to let Jim introduce himself.
Well, I appreciate that. And thanks very much. It is great to be here. I don't think I've had the pleasure to chat with most of you before, but excited to get into each of the different advisory groups and what we're doing and some of our work here. I have been involved with CCI prior to this. I'm coming as the Chief Trust Officer of Lemetic, so I've spent a lot of time in the last year in decentralized identity and healthcare specifically. But before that, have a background in health IT standards, public sector health programs, federal health programs, etc. So really just thrilled to have a chance to be able to explore all these opportunities and see where we can go for 2022.
Excellent. And welcome, Jim. If any of the members have any questions for Jim, feel free now, or Jim is in the Slack channel there, reach out and have a chat with him.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ping me, and if you got something, throw it my way.
And I don't want to miss this opportunity just to thank Brian for the work that he's done in the position for the time he's been there. It's been excellent having him. Wish him the best of luck in the new role.
Yeah, I'd be quick to say I give all credit to Brian and to Jenny for where we are today, and so it's that much more exciting to step into all of these efforts that have begun or preliminary and have some framework around them, and how we can continue to shoot for the moon with them.
Excellent.
谢谢。哎，等等，我怎么把
Hello,
还你啊？
不用，我一般想而已。
不行，我以为行走江湖这么多年讲的是意思。
I'll take that as enthusiasm.
Yeah, we have our couple of members joining from China as part of the Tencent organization. Fantastic group of people. All right, so let's go through a quick round of project status updates, starting with our stage 3 project. Harold, what's going on there, Adam?
Hey everyone. Not done a lot over the last week or so, just tidying up some kind of long-term bugs because I've just been starting the new PhD, so I've been concentrating on that. We're basically making good progress on the C++ API. We've got the first beta 1 out for v2.1. We'll have a beta 2 out by the end of the weekend. And that's around enabling e-health wearables, fully open source hardware and software. So that's what that release is about. We've massively improved the reliability on and lowering the battery use on wearables, which is good. And we're continuing to do that. And we've got the first prototype boards built, and I'm just waiting on some other kind of external componentry to turn it into a watch, so we can then do proper field tests with them. So yeah, looking pretty good at the moment. And then whilst that's going on and we're waiting for things, we're doing the exposure notification API higher level, which will enable people to plug in kind of custom risk models for different diseases, plug in, you know, different ways of doing scoring, different ways of doing thresholds, and just providing an easy to use API for that. So it's totally customizable.
Nice. You mentioned the watch. I mean, are you connected at all with Gordon Williams, who's doing the Espruino kind of the node watch, the JavaScript powered watch?
Yeah, the I can't remember what it's called here, but I've got one.
The Bengal.
Yeah, this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a meeting with him about a month ago. So we talked through this version of the Bangle plus the V2 that he's got a copy of. So it's currently based on a slightly different SDK, but I am looking to use that hardware. I've got 2 of them here to see if we can move ours onto there as well, just so that you've got different types of devices you can run on.
Right on.
Yeah, looking at doing that. I think the V2 device is probably going to be better for that, just because it's got better battery life generally, so, and more memory. So yeah.
Just an offhand curious question, Adam, is that what's the code base? Is it all running in JS or
C++?
C++?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah, I'm using the Zephyr real-time operating system, which is Apache 2 licensed. So using that as the base, it's got a great driver library, especially for sensors. They've actually thought about that and put sensor API in it. So I've been writing a few custom drivers for that and working with that team, but also building this on top of that. But the there's nothing specific to any device in the Herald code. There's an abstraction. So you can plug in any Bluetooth layer below it, be it Windows, Linux, other embedded systems, so that it's not restricted.
Yeah, I was just asking out of curiosity because of just understanding the code base and I guess, you know, revisions to that improve with the firmware for the battery life extension. So I know it's
exactly. We've done a fair bit of testing on just very basic kind of C code to tune our open source wearable for battery use.
Yeah.
So we can get on a 110 milliamp hour battery, which is tiny. We can get a month out of it doing nothing. So what we're trying to do now is get a week out of it or 2 weeks out of it. Oh no, sorry, not a month, it's 6 months, sorry. 6 months for doing nothing. So we're trying to get between 2 and 4 weeks doing something. But it depends on the use case, right? Whether it's digital contact tracing, whether it's monitoring your heart rate, it's vastly different. So
yeah, that's cool because I've been tinkering in the Hyperledger side as we're looking at trying to port some of the Hyperledger frameworks, Aries specifically, into IoT devices. And of course, the concern was computing elegance first and foremost. But before this conversation, I hadn't even thought about, especially when you're talking so many IoT devices that have batteries themselves, not only, you know, computing elegance because they're actually moving C libraries into Rust. But
I know Rust and C and C++.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Rust's not gonna. Yeah. When it comes to performance, the problem you've got is whether that particular device has the build chain for that programming language.
Yeah.
C++ you're covered. C you're definitely covered. other things, your mileage may
Not so
vary.
much, right?
Yeah. Good feedback. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, Zephyr, I definitely recommend having a look at Zephyr.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and just to follow up, with that, with the Bengal device. I mean, if something could be done there, I think it'd be excellent. I mean, just for context for everyone else, they just had the Kickstarter for the V2 device,
Exactly, yeah.
and Gordon's original target was something like 8,000 pounds or whatever to get started, and then ended up over like 250,000 pounds. To get started. There's a lot of attention on that device, so it'd be a nice target. It's to kind of say, okay, hey, we have this. Would make a nice story for community.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But like I say, I've got 2 devices here to test against.
Nice.
I
Excellent.
just want to get our one working first because that is low cost for developing countries. So that's what we're.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Excellent. I mean, it seems like a lot of great things going on there. Okay, moving on to updates for stage 2 projects. We'll start with MedCreds. The significant update here is that there really is no significant update. The project seems to have kind of fallen off the radar. This one it's starting to be a concern here. When I say starting, it's definitely a concern. We need to see what's going on here. Jenny, do you have any context here that can be discussed?
I mean, I know that our lead contributor has taken on a new role, or our lead contacts there. I haven't actually been in touch with them in a while. I don't know if I could definitely just call his cell if we are at that point to check in on what the status is.
Yeah, not to speak for Jenny, but if we're talking Tony Rose, Tony and I were corresponding last night, and he has shifted gears entirely into something new. So where the development life cycle stands from the MedCred standpoint beyond Tony, I'm not sure either.
I haven't seen any activity in the GitHub repos. I mean, it just seems.
I had been told that there was a chance that the other investors or owners of Fruit Market would be interested in carrying MedCred forward. But I guess, Jim, if you've been talking with Tony, then maybe perhaps the best would be for you to make that inquiry and find out if this is a retired project at this point or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to text him later today and ask.
And if it's looking like that's not going to move forward, then what we may decide as a TAC is to move that into either a stage 1 or emeritus status, which can be temporary. If they come back and if the project kind of comes back and starts generating activity again, we can change the status again. But it might be worthwhile just to kind of move this down.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with deprecating it for now. And there's some other things I have in the hopper that if they're able to leverage anything from the MedCred's code base as part of a phase 2 or a follow-on, that's great. If not, we all salute and give it a eulogy.
Yep. Okay. That's it.
Yeah, on that, I might
be
able to help out with something there, depending on what we want to keep going. So, yeah, if it gets to that stage, just let me know.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. All right, what's going on with Cardea, Jesse?
Hey, yeah. So the last steering committee I went to steering committee meeting was mostly about the name. I actually missed the context on the initial or the impetus for the name change. I don't know if they tried to do like a trademark or they started doing a trademark search and there was somebody already in this space. I'm guessing that was the case. I just missed that bit of context. I was out the week before. But it sounds like there is somebody. So they are exploring changing the name of the project.
Right.
And so they are, I believe, going to talk with an attorney to start kind of like the search. I also talked about doing a competition, or a competition doesn't feel like the right word, but
Like a hackathon?
Or like a fundraiser for names, but not with money, like just an idea generation, like a brainstorming kind of competition to see, reach out to the community, get some engagement. And I forgot who it was that was on the call, but there was somebody on the call who actually had a lot of experience in the legal side of things. I think she was either a lawyer or worked at a law firm for quite a while doing this kind of thing. So she had a lot of great advice, about the engaging with the lawyer, doing the search, making sure things aren't too similar. And so I believe that is top of mind. Otherwise, I've not heard anything else.
Do you know if they're working with the foundation legal team for the naming thing? Are they engaged with them?
I don't. Jenny might know that detail. They might be. I don't remember that from the meeting. It just sounded like it was a little more of a brainstorming session on like the legal side, but no definitive.
That's one of the services that the foundation provides to projects, is that legal advice. Jenny?
Yeah, so James, I had initiated the conversation. Actually, it was on the advice of LF Council that I initiated the conversation regarding the name change.
Cool.
So they are well aware of the resources that are available to them regarding trademarks,
Nice. Good.
trademark searches and whatnot.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jesse. Stage 1 projects. We don't have Calm here, so we can't get updates for either Kobe Green or ENX servers on those projects. Jenny, do you know of anything? Kind of what the status is on the ENX server conversation? Not necessarily the project that they're hosting.
Yeah, so I actually that's something that I should provide everybody an update on. So the answer is there that after several months worth of searching for funding, it has been concluded that we are Ruby, yeah, I know you dropped your hat and we'll get it when we stop, okay? There is it's very, hat, this is a very important hat. We have been unable to secure funding to have the servers hosted by LFPH, and Google has come to the conclusion that they will be hosting them themselves, and then if there are countries that are not comfortable with that, such that they are unable to onboard to ENX, then that will have to be the situation. So as a result, they have withdrawn their application to become an LFPH project,
That's unfortunate.
which is
okay.
disappointing, but I think all around, like I think there's a lot of appreciation for the time that the TAC took to evaluate the project and ask great questions, and they are very appreciative of LFPH for being a partner on this and trying so hard to make it work. So I think that a lot of goodwill was gained as a result, and it just the attention for COVID has moved elsewhere from a philanthropic standpoint, which is I guess what happened, and so it will.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the update there. Is that the short version is the application has been withdrawn.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Sorry, quick clarification, just because I'm writing the notes. Did you say that if a country has a problem with Google continuing to host it, then that country will be able to host themselves or won't be able to host themselves? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, she may be dealing with some in-car action. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it with her afterwards, don't we?
Yeah, let's. I think that's a good thread to pull. And it sounds like this is already heading down the path of retirement. But if conceptually, that's something we just need to be cognizant of with other projects, and I guess that's TREMS Act's compliance. How we structure some partnerships with here, because my wheels were spinning around some other potential partners or candidates to include to offset that risk. But if they're pulling their application and this is gone by, that's okay.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate result. Would have been I think better to have those things in the community rather than hosted by a single commercial entity. But we knew that the funding for anything COVID related was going to eventually start shifting to other priorities and other things. We knew that was inevitable. So, okay. So that's on projects. We currently, so I know that there are a couple of conversations happening for potential new projects coming up. So we may have some updates in some of the either next call or the one after. Not a lot of details. I'm still fuzzy on quite a few of those details myself right now. So I'll have an update as soon as possible. Some of the initiative updates. So we talked about before in our previous call, the possibility of doing a community tech event. And then there was kind of this exposure notifications, lessons learned write up, or some distillation of the lessons we've learned in the past almost 2 years now of digital contact tracing. So want to touch on this just a little bit. So for the community tech event, I did raise it on the just briefly. I raised the possibility of this on the board call the other day. Haven't been able to put a lot of effort into this yet myself, simply because I'm still onboarding with my new job. I'm only 2 months in, and it's just been taking a lot of focus. But this is definitely something that I'd like to get some momentum rolling on. All of the events that I know that the PHAs tend to get involved with end up being massive sales pitches, like, hey, here's our, sit and listen about our product for the next hour. And what I'd really like us to do is provide a community tech event that is that absolutely bans sales pitches, starts conversations between the technologists and the PHAs, where they can start sharing ideas, start exploring what is possible, what is the interesting work that's going on, and seeing if we can start using it as, to kind of build a center of gravity around the foundation for bringing these ideas and having these conversations. Similar type of event, if you think of like NodeConf or RustConf, or these types of events that are purely community focused. It's the kind of thing that I'd like to get, I'd like to have the foundation, let's do a kickoff one next year. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of questions about that, bunch of budget questions. The foundation board is dealing with some budget issues right now with, trying to bring in some new corporate members and that kind of thing. So it's a long conversation to be had about this. I'm not sure there's much that the TAC needs to do on this, other than let's try to build some momentum behind this idea.
James, I support it 100%, and I'm here to assist you any way I can. I completely agree with the idea that, and this goes to broader conversations I've had in other fronts too. I mean, I'm coming from a background with various associations, including ones in the public sector, where you have numerous public sector competitors that sign on and participate in this sort of forum with a express understanding that you are there to talk about issues and educate public sector potential customers on these things. If you give them a business card and call them up 2 days later to say, hey, I'm from Google, let's talk about what we can do, that's fine. In the context of the event, you're representing the organization. Yeah. And it is a not for attribution sort of open discussion around the technology themes and educating them to make them smarter on the things you want to pitch them on later on. And that's where the intrinsic reward is. So what, separately, next meeting, whatever, I'm happy to pick this thread up with you and see what we could start engineering for maybe Q1 of next year or something.
Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's it will probably do let's get a separate call set up, just kind of focus specific on this, get the foundation events team involved, and just start brainstorming, how we can put this together. So.
Nope, great idea, and let me know how I can support it. We can do that.
Okay. So that's that one. The other initiative that we had talked about was this lessons learned distilling these things. Adam, I know that you mentioned you're starting your PhD, so I don't imagine much progress has been made on this one, but where are we at?
Well, interestingly, this is one of a similar task has come up as one of the early parts of the PhD process. So, a literature review of all of the papers around EN and a review of the available code usage and that type of thing is potentially going to be part of the PhD. So I'm submitting my project plan tomorrow. A draft one, it will get ripped apart. It won't be the final one. And then, once we figure out what's in and what's out of that, I'll know whether this is something to do in the guise of LFPH on my own or something to do as part of the PhD. But if it's part of the PhD, I'll ask them about how we can make sure that that is still published and not just an internal thing as part of the PhD.
There is also a workshop happening that MIT is hosting for academics and nonprofits, which Adam is, I believe, going to be joining in on.
Yeah, there's 3 of us from Oxford.
That has a lot of overlap, I think, with this particular topic. So there is actually, a second effort where I think we'll definitely want to see how the two overlap and support each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be very much under Chatham House rules, which means what gets said there kind of stays amongst the people. So that it's not like there'll be recorded sessions from that or anything. But you're right, we do need to kind of learn the good and the bad and the ugly from what's gone on the last 18 months for the future. Yeah.
Well, and the output of the workshop is going to be a white paper.
But, yeah.
So there will be documentation.
Yeah. I think mine's probably going to be more kind of low-level technical about the apps that are produced rather than COVID generally, I think. So.
And Jim, just to provide a little bit of context here, as when we're looking at the current set of projects, so things like COVID Green and and Herald, which has a broader scope, longer term scope, but if we're looking at what the foundation would need to do or what PHAs would need to do to be prepared for the next major pandemic, it becomes a kind of an intractable problem just to kind of keep the code warm indefinitely, right? Because we have no idea when that next pandemic is going to happen, whether technology is going to be, whatever else. So we can make a best effort at keeping that technology, that those projects warm and updated, but kind of where we landed was a better place to be would be, let's distill as much as possible everything that we've learned over the past 18 months of how this technology works, what is required, and start distilling that into a set of best practices, so we have a playbook the next time around, whenever that comes. So that's kind of where we're going with this. Excellent. Okay, that is it on the project and initiative updates. We don't have anything else for the open discussion. Now there is a conversation. We tried to see if we could get folks available for this meeting, but it came up late in the day yesterday, so it'll probably be later. But the foundation does have a design team. It's the SIG design group. They do provide design services for the projects, but they need the projects to basically ask, right? So if any of the projects have,
I just wanted to clarify that it's a special interest group within LFPH. This is different from the LF Design Organization, which is
thank you,
a separate thing and a paid service.
So
this is a group of volunteers.
Right. They're available, right? They can, but again, there's not much for them to do if the projects aren't going to them and asking for things. So if any of the projects, if there's design work, logo work, website work, this kind of design stuff that the projects need, they're available to ask, and that is the SIG design. We're going to try to invite them into for the call in 2 weeks to have them kind of go through a fuller explanation of what they do and what they're offering. Okay.
No, it's not graphic design, actually. It's mostly user experience design. So thinking through user flows,
Thank you.
usability, accessibility, things like that. I would focus much more on that. Logo work is not really their
Not this
forte.
thing? Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
I mean, there are some people within the group who can do logo work, but that's not where they bring strength. They bring strength in terms of the experience that we're actually designing for people. And that can be developer experience as well, right? Like developer onboarding and documentation and anything around information architecture, accessibility, usability, things like that.
And this is why I want them to come and give a full explanation, because I'm going to get the details wrong. Thank you, Jenny, for that clarification. Appreciate it. Okay. So I think that completes the scheduled agenda items. Does anyone else have anything else to talk about, discuss?
No, great first meeting, and thanks very much, James, for your efforts. I know you're hurting a bit. But yeah, so look forward to working with this group, and it's of course my intent to feed the beast and get more projects into the pipeline, and conceptually get other folks added to the TAC in a number of areas. Obviously, we've had some outstanding focus since the origins of LFPH around exposure notification, COVID credentials, and some of these sort of things. And it's my charter to grow that into all other sorts of public health, population health outcome initiatives. So I'm looking at open EHR and medical devices and some of these other things that all may have foundations of areas for us to pick up projects in. So.
Yep, excellent. It'll be excellent to see kind of some of those other directions open up, and we definitely need some look at projects beyond the initial tactical COVID response. We have to get beyond there, or else we're going to stagnate here. So
yeah, no, that's my charter and responsibility to take us in that direction, so we don't grow, wither, and die just around the COVID vine, so to speak. Right. So
yep. Excellent. Okay. Well, then we'll cut 20 minutes early. Thank you all, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, bye.
Thanks, everyone.